There's something very intriguing about Japanese culture. It has a very exotic and unique taste that just gives it an alluring aura that makes me want to learn more about the country itself. Through mythology or tradition, Japan has been among my favorites to delve into and explore. However, I'm not the only one, as a lot of games have taken inspiration from Japanese elements to spice up its atmosphere. Whether it's the plethora of cherry blossom trees or the traditional wooden architecture, it has its way to bring out a distinct traditional feel that resonates with me when I see it. One of the most recent games that I can bring up that has a distinctly Japanese feel to it is, of course, Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter Rise is without a doubt my favorite game of 2021. It's open and expansive, filled with stuff to explore, along with secrets to uncover with the little details sprinkled in every nook and cranny. But of course, the important detail is the gameplay. The wire bug mechanic is so fun that I can't stop using it, and the monsters, oh the monsters! And this is what happens when you let me gush out on the games that I love without self-control. Anyways, Monster Hunter Rise's distinct feature is that it has a Japanese theme to its world. From its home village to the locations and monsters themselves, Japanese elements have been sprinkled in to give it a very unique setting, unlike any other Monster Hunter game. And you know me, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. So I've decided that because of this expansive cultural well, and also being one of my favorite games, and that the DLC, Sunbreak, is on the horizon, I would cover the cultural and mythological aspects of Monster Hunter Rise in 3 different aspects and divide them into 3 separate videos. In this video, I will be explaining the locations and set pieces that make up its world and explain its cultural and mythological significance. Now I know that I made a particular series before about Pokemon mythological origins, and I haven't continued on it for over a year, but rest assured, I will finish this one for sure. Now, let us start from the very beginning, shall we? Kamura Village, a serene and colorful place known for its Tatara steel and hearty characters. It is also a place you, the hunter, call home. This is where you spend most of your time upgrading your equipment, training your buddies, and eating delectable dangos. Several characters provide services to you in your day-to-day life as a hunter, such as Hinoa and Minato being the ones to fetch your quests, Chief Kogarashi sending your pets to expeditions, and Master Hojo being the absolute coolest. Everyone does whatever their task may be, and they all help one another to survive. This is because they are plagued by the ever-approaching rampage that wreaks havoc upon their peaceful village. Now, I will touch on the rampage at a later video regarding the story, so let us first delve into Kamura Village and see what we can explore. Off the bat, we can observe the scenery in which the game takes place. It has a mellow and serene air to it. If you look to the left, you can see a little shrine being put down with offerings in front of them. There are a few of these shrines scattered across the village with a variety of different offerings. These miniature shrines are called hokora, and are places to house minor kami that grant people protection. They can usually be found on roadsides or places that are not within the jurisdiction of a bigger shrine. This is an example of some form of yorishiro, an object that can house kami and give it a form to give offerings to. There are actually quite a few around the village if you look very closely, like that some of the trees would have a shimenawa rope wrapped around them, decorated with paper streamers called shide. This provides a clear view of how traditional beliefs and inspiration could be integrated into some of the designs of the environment. But that's enough of me rambling about that. Let's move on to the next. If we go to the roof, we can see something peculiar about the roof tiles, notably the dragon heads at each side. These aren't uncommon in Japan, as homes would sometimes have decorative statues placed on their roofs depicting a variety of creatures. One of the most revered is of the Shachihoko, a yokai with the body of a carp and the head of a tiger. Usually, they are constructed to prevent fires from happening, as most buildings that had these kinds of ornaments were made out of wood. I'm not quite sure what the significance of dragon heads would be in this context, but it could have the same premise as the Shachihoko, or could purely be a decorative roof ornament, much like the Onigawara, a roof ornament with the markings of an oni or other fearsome beasts. If we go further, we approach the center area, where Elder Fugen stands next to his dog. He is the village elder and is the main leader of Kamura Village. We can see behind Elder Fugen there is a door that leads to a forge of sorts. Kamura Village is widely known in its universe for its Tatara steel and forge. Surprisingly, despite being in a world populated by dragon folk that creates massive weapons out of the harvested corpses of freshly hunted monsters, Tatara steel is not fictional and is derived from an ancient technique of forging. A Tatara is a traditional Japanese furnace that is used to smelt iron and steel to create Japanese swords. These giant forges make up an entire building and would have several people at once stepping onto the bellows to ignite the fire used to forge the alloys. In the roof of the building, you could see smoke coming off of the dragon's maw, acting like a chimney for the smoke to go out. This makes me believe that Kamura Village is actually inspired by Sugaya Tatara Sanai iron making village, located in the Shimane region of Japan. Editor's note: I am very sorry if I butchered the language. I am not Japanese. This village is one of the last places to keep the Tatara tradition alive and has done so for hundreds of years. Because of this, it has become the inspiration for a lot of locations, such as the Iron Town from Hayao Miyazaki's Princess Mononoke. This region itself is also one of the most important cultural heritages for Izumo mythology, especially regarding the creation of Japan and its gods. And that small tidbit will be very important to explain the key details to solving Monster Hunter Rise's cultural origins. But that's for another video. If we go to the right, we will arrive at the Buddy Plaza, where you can train your Palicos and Palamutes. Here we have the one to take care of all the buddies, Iori. Palicos have been a staple in the Monster Hunter series, but Palamutes came along with the release of Rise. Dogs are a symbol of devotion in Japan and much of the world, so it's no surprise that it was introduced as a counterpart of the Palico. This is also backed up by the shrine in front of an old tree, where a statue of a cat and a dog sits at its door. A little more ahead, and we can see the feline Chief Kogarashi, who is the captain of the Meowcenaries, and the one to set up expeditions for your vacant buddies while you go on missions. As you can tell, he is dressed like a ninja, with the garb and everything, and the way he sends the buddies to their expeditions is by riding on kites. This is a common trope for ninjas and ninja-like characters in modern media as a way to fly inconspicuously, but it actually has its roots in history, although not a concrete one at that. According to the Koga Ninjutsu Gokushi, or the secret arts of Koga Ninjutsu, there is a secret technique where ninjas could rain sparks down from the sky. Presumably, during a raid of a castle led by Minamoto Yoshie, a ninja from the Akutagawa school flew atop a giant paper kite and rained down sparks that caused a huge fire to erupt. Now, it's not very specific on how this is done, or if it is true or not, but kites are still prevalent in ninja culture to mark spots, set traps, and communicate with others. The reasons that ninjas flying with kites became such a popular trope is because of a manga by the name of Kamen no Ninja Akakage, created by the Toei Company back in 1967, which is later turned into an anime in 1987. In the show, the protagonist is depicted to be a ninja with supernatural powers and flies into the sky with a kite on his back. It takes inspiration from ancient ninjutsu practices, but is mostly exaggerated with creative liberty. But because of that, and the popularity that grew in Japan back in the day, ninjas in modern media start to take inspiration from that to emphasize their cunning creativity, resulting in hilarious outcomes.
Wait! Who's that? A ranger?
Arrow blast!
Oh no!
Anyways, if you come back from the Buddy Plaza and walk under the cherry blossom trees on your way to the Gathering Hub, you can see to your right where you can eat Yomogi's famous bunny dangos. Behind her, you can see two palicos excitedly pounding on some mochi, with an illustration of the village at night behind them, and a large rabbit-shaped mochi at the side. An interesting fact I came across was that the moon and rabbits are connected quite a lot in folklore. The moon rabbit is famous in Eastern and Aztec folklore as a phenomenon of pareidolia, where some parts of the moon would resemble a rabbit in front of a mortar. In Chinese mythology, the rabbit is believed to be creating the elixir of immortality, giving it the title of the Jade Hare. However, in Japanese and Korean mythology, they believe the moon rabbit is actually pounding mochi. Several culture festivals, such as those involving night viewing, would usually serve mochi to commemorate this old tale, which I think is very wholesome. After you put 3 colorful balls in your mouth. After you put 3 colorful balls in your mouth, you can move on to the Gathering Hub, the main area for multiplayer. This is where I and many hunters spend most of their time, grinding away at various different monsters, gathering materials, and generally having lots and lots of fun together. And as you enter the hub, you are greeted by the best character, Master Hojo, who is the person who draws all the illustrations of the monsters in Rise. The art he does is a wonderful way to depict old Japanese calligraphy and brush art. He also rides atop a baby Tatsukabra, a frog monster that is surprisingly not available in Rise. Master Hojo is based on none other than the legendary Jiraiya, a ninja who masters the ability to control frogs. Jiraiya was first introduced with the folktale Jiraiya Goketsu Monogatari, in which he is depicted to be riding a toad. He has become very popular over the years, and is symbolized with toads and ninjas in general. And on top of all that, in the Japanese voice settings, Master Hojo is also the one who introduces us to new monsters when we first encounter them, perfectly simulating old kabuki plays, an exaggerated theater speech that matches the shamisen playing in the background. He's just so cool, man. And that's about all we can generally cover on Kamura Village. There are actually quite a few more that I feel could be worth to mention, such as Elder Fugen being based on Miyamoto Musashi, Master Utsushi being a stereotypical ninja, or that the twins have a deep connection to a sacred purification ritual. But I believe that would reach theorizing levels of speculation, even if most of this video is speculatory. So we'll save most of the book in future videos, especially those in this 3-part series. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I know it has been so long since my last one, and I haven't really updated on my life for a while, Well, all I'm going to say is that I will try my best to keep being consistent, no matter how long it takes. I want to take it easy, and do what I like at my own time, when I feel like it. Though I do apologize if you've been waiting a while. I hope to see you soon on the next video. See ya!